Now that a project manager has defined the activities needed to complete the project, the next question is which activity needs to be done first? Which ones can be done together? In this lesson, we'll logically analyze the process that creates a logical sequence of work in a project, the sequence activities process. The purpose of the sequence activities process is to analyze and document the relationships among the project activities using the list of activities that were documented in the define activities process. For an activity on the list, the project manager must decide which activities come before and which activities come after. These are called activity predecessors and activity successors. By analyzing the predecessors and successors logically, a project manager can create a sequence of work which will accomplish the project with the greatest amount of efficiency given all the other project constraints. The first input into the sequence activity process is the schedule management plan. The schedule management plan identifies the methods and tools that will be used to create and manage the schedule. Activity lists include all the scheduled activities on the project. Activity attributes describe the predecessor and successor activities, as well as any possible leads and lags that are associated with the completion of each activity. A milestone list provides the dates for any significant events that are to happen during the project lifecycle. The project scope statement includes the product characteristics which may affect the sequencing of the activities. Things like constraints and assumptions which are outlined in the scope statement can always affect activity sequencing. Enterprise environmental factors like government and industry standards and scheduling tools can hinder or help the sequence activities process. Organizational process assets like previous project files and scheduling methodology templates are always useful when sequencing the tasks that need to be completed in the project. The first tool and technique in the sequence activity process is the precedence diagramming method, or PDM. This is used to construct a schedule model in which activities are represented by nodes and relationships are shown as interconnecting arrows that are linked to show the sequence in which they are performed. There are 4 types of relationships in the precedence diagram. The first one is finish to start. Most tasks in a project will follow this relationship. Finish to start means that a predecessor activity must finish first before its successor activity can start. Finish to finish is when a predecessor activity must finish before the successor activity can finish. Start to start is when the predecessor activity must start before the successor activity can start. And start to finish. This is the least used relationship in a precedence diagram. This is when the successor activity must start before the predecessor activity can finish. Other factors that can affect the sequence activities process are dependency determinations. Mandatory versus discretionary dependencies and external versus internal dependencies usually originate from outside of the project scope and need to be examined when developing the activity sequences. Leads and lags are more factors that must be considered. A lag is a delay between the predecessor and successor activities. A lead is the exact opposite, whereas the successor can start before the predecessor has finished and the activities can overlap in time. The outputs of the sequence activities process include project schedule network diagrams. These are graphical representations of the logical relationships and dependencies between the schedule activities. Project document updates may include updates to the activity lists, activity attributes, milestone lists, and the risk register. In the world of project management, some activities will have a fixed logical sequence where one task must be completed before the start of the next task. Some activities may be performed at the same time as the others, and they'll have a parallel relationship in terms of time. The sequence activities process helps the project manager determine these dependencies and makes it easier for the project team to complete the task in a logical order and complete a successful project.